Hello, hello, Mr. Rhodes. Mr. Rhodes, Mr. Rhodes. Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson in. Mr. Peter Jackson. Rhodes, sorry, sir.
Tired. How are you?
Good. Welcome back home.
I know.
You know,
It was an odyssey.
you got to stop visiting Chicago so much, man.
Yes, I do.
You know what I mean? I know. I know you love the Winter City, man, but you know you gotta Boston, not Chicago, man. So you gotta get it straight.
There you go.
Steve, how are you, sir? Good to see you. All right. I'm Peter Jackson. I missed the hair, man. Peter Jackson. I haven't seen you in the call on Wednesdays, Timothy.
I've been on vacation.
Vacation. The good life.
Yeah.
The good life.
I was up in Maine, dude. It was gorgeous. You need air conditioning up there.
Oh yeah. Well,
I know. In Texas, air conditioning is life support. In Maine, you don't even need it.
Oh yeah.
This was during the winter, a different situation, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Forget about it. Yeah. I mean, Eddie was in Eddie. You're in Maine, or no? You're in Vermont.
No, I was in Maine.
You're in Maine. Yeah.
Bar Harbor.
Yeah. 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 Maine's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During the winter, you need a snowmobile. During the summer, it's fantastic, dude.
Oh yeah, no, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful when Eddie's not over there. It's beautiful, but you know what I mean.
Whatever.
No, but did you have rain? Eddie had rain when he was there.
I know we had basically 2 days of rain. I was up there for 2.5 weeks, and the rest of it was gorgeous. The hottest day we had there was 83 degrees, if you can believe it.
Yeah, yeah.
At night it dropped down to 60. You don't need air conditioning. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, that's how it is on the Cape. I got a place up in the Cape, and we don't have AC. We just open the windows, let the ocean air kind of hit in.
You mean the Cape, Massachusetts Cape?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Is there another one?
I don't know. The Cape of South Africa? I don't know. Cape of Australia? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we got some people coming in here. Some Molly here. All right. So I don't worry today, guys. I am not doing the whole training today. So just don't.
Well, that's good.
Don't pack your bags just yet. Yeah. Hey Molly, how are you?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So don't pack your bags just yet. And also too, this is Ray, just getting out of the gym, working out, Ray. So this is what you get here today. So full transparency. Andrew good to see you, my friend. Okay. I'm sure we'll get more people turning up here in a minute. All right. So what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I was instructed by the professor that does the training here on Thursdays that she recorded a presentation for you guys. So I'm going to attempt to navigate this, and the professor's senior subordinate is monitoring this to make sure that I am doing this right. So hold on, guys. Let me see if I can get this going. And then after the recording is over, I'll come back on. But I do want to say a few things. Okay, so just bear with me. I
am assured that she'll be back on Monday.
all right. So let me figure out how to do this. Just give me a second, because I am not tech savvy, and I guess she was thinking that I was tech savvy, or I am tech savvy. And so she assigned me.
Obviously know enough to get by.
Yeah, right. Okay, let me see here.
Notice that she didn't ask me to do it.
Yeah. Well, we had a meeting about that, Eddie, and yeah, so
I'm sure you did.
it wasn't quite her decision. Okay, here it is. All right, I think we're gonna do this, man. You guys see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Boom. All right, so we will have, so remember, we'll be coming back on here after this, movie presentation is over. So here we go. Can y'all hear that?
So last week we went through steps 1 through 4 of how to.
Can you turn up the volume a little bit?
Client up, to start building their plan. So this week I want to continue that with the second appointment. So I usually break it up into 2 appointments because after a certain point, it's just information overload with the client. They can only take in so much all at once. But in the middle, once you've created the plan for them, you want them to actually go home, talk about it, think about it.
Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the volume going here. Is that better?
To affect our lives. Can we actually do this?
It's about the same.
Bill that we're going to
Okay.
have to make to this.
Maybe turn it on your end if you can.
Okay, I'll try.
There,
I'll mute myself.
really quickly. Bear with me a second. Okay. There. So this is the plan that we created for Mr. and Mrs. Client last week. So we got to a point where we had a guaranteed growth of $1.2 million after they've finished paying for all 3 kids going to school. And they determined of their own accord that their $215,000 they have in retirement accounts is going to triple over the next, I think it was like 18 years. And they will end up with $645,000 from that, which gives us a total retirement of $1.9 million after paying for all of the kids' education and all of that stuff. So the beginning of second appointment, I would bring up this page and just do a quick review with them. And so, Mom and Dad, how excited are we about this plan? Give them a minute to respond. You know, what did we like about it? And let them respond. And, you know, actually listen to what they say, because every now and again,
Hey, Ray, the audio went.
somebody.
Okay, give me a second
And
here.
it
I'm
really
trying to get it going.
compelling reasons.
It's back.
Oh, first reason being that if you pull the equity out of the house and you have a large pile of money, but you have, for example, a $2,000 a month payment and you've got $400,000 in cash, if you lost your job tomorrow, how long are you going to be able to make a $2,000 mortgage payment if you have $400,000 in cash? On the flip side, if you have paid off that house, but you have no cash, you still have taxes and insurance to pay on that house, right? So is it possible that you could lose that house if you lost your job? Theoretically, you have equity in the house, but what bank is going to give you a mortgage if you don't have a job? Food for thought. So that is a great way to discuss it. And also on step 4, let's say we did mortgage the house in this, for the example of this client, they don't own a house yet. However, let's say it was a $300,000 mortgage, in what, 6 years, they could pay that off. If they really wanted to pay that off, they could pay it off in 6 years. And right now they have a $300,000 mortgage that they're 8 years into a 30-year loan. Isn't 6 years better than the next 22? Food for thought. And just plant the seed. Always ask questions. Make statements in the form of questions. I never say anything. I let other people say it for me, or I ask questions that the answer should be fairly obvious of what I'm trying to get them to think about. So that being said, once we're here and we've reviewed everything and they've said, yes, we really like this plan. Okay, great. So we haven't really talked about, all we've talked about right now are the numbers, right? So we need to figure out what we're going to do with it to make sure that it is somewhere, because right now it's just in a tin can, right? We need to make sure that it is somewhere that it is growing, correct? Let them answer so that they're participating in this conversation. It's a little bit difficult to imagine with me just talking to myself on both sides, but make sure that you are actually having a conversation with your client and you're not doing all of the talking. So great, so we're going to design that now, and we're going to scroll down and go to next. So Mr. and Mrs. Client, right now we're trying to design a vehicle for you to feel comfortable putting your bank into this vehicle. So just to recap, we have a $5,000 one-time contribution, and we're going to be saving $45,000, $45,300 annually into that bank. So let's talk about some of the things that you're going to want in a financial vehicle. So we know we have 3 kids going to college. So we want wherever you put it to not be visible to FAFSA, right? And for anybody who is unfamiliar, your clients may be unfamiliar. The FAFSA is the Federal Application for Student Aid. It's required for any student applying for any sort of financial assistance with school, whether it be federal help or private help. The FAFSA always has to be filled out. So if we have a child going to school, obviously we don't want to be penalized for having saved a whole lot of money on the FAFSA. So we're going to want that, right? Yes. So we talked about your 401k and your IRAs and those things. So, and what you said to me was that if you had to take money out of that it's going to be taxed. And because of your current age, you're going to end up paying a 10% penalty on that. So where you're saving this $45,000 a year, would it be of interest to you if you never had to pay tax on that money again on the principal or the growth? And, when you need it, do you really need to be penalized? Would you be interested in vehicles that are penalty free? And be careful how you phrase these questions, because you're leading them to say yes. And you can kind of do the nod your head thing, because instinctively, if you're nodding your head, people are going to be led to agree. So think about how you're wording the question. So we're going to show penalty free, and we're going to show tax free, because they've just told us that they want those things. Okay, great. So we also talked about your 401k, in that you're not sure how much it's going to grow, if it's going to grow. In theory, you could lose money, and that does not make you feel very comfortable about your retirement. So wherever we're putting this $45,000 a year, would you want a guarantee that it is going to grow at a specific steady rate for until you retire? Would that be of interest to you? So be aware of how I'm asking these questions. We're leading our client to say yes. Great. So we're going to have it be guaranteed. And right now we've talked about a bunch of different vehicles for you, and that you can only access them in certain scenarios. And you're concerned, you told me that you have $60,000 sitting in a savings account because you want access in case of emergencies, right? So would it be helpful for wherever we're putting this $45,000 a year to be liquid, to be accessible to you within 72 hours? They're going to say yes, because that was one of their big concerns. So, okay, great. So we're going to add liquid to our list. So right now, what we have is we have our we have our list as our vehicle needs to be FAFSA free. It needs to be liquid, meaning we need to have access to it. It needs to be penalty free. It needs to be tax free, and it needs to be guaranteed. Are there any other qualities that you would like your financial vehicle to have? And in 99 times out of 100, to be quite honest, 100 times out of 100, they're going to say no, that they like this list. Okay, great. So these are our financial vehicles that we have available to us for, that are available to save right now. So we have qualified funds. These are our 401ks, 403bs, those types of things. Cash value life insurance. We have Roths. We have annuities. We have stocks and bonds. We have college savings funds, or 529s, depending on how you know them. We have mutual funds, and we have bank accounts. Mr. and Mrs. Client, are there any other financial vehicles that you can think of that we need to put our test against? And I've heard two things from clients that we do not have on our list here. I have heard real estate, and I have heard crypto. So crypto, we're just going to acknowledge and say, yep, that works just like stocks and bonds. And real estate is something that we can speak to kind of at the end column once we get through everything. Okay, great. So thinking about all of this, how important is it to us that wherever we're putting this $45,000 be FAFSA free? And let them give you a number. And if they start to hedge as you're going through the list, tell them that they don't need to prioritize these. If it's very, very important to them that they have all of these qualities in whatever vehicle it is, they can have 100% in all of them. So, but some people are going to say, well, that one's super important. It has to be that. This one's less important. So most people will tell you that it's super, super important that it be FAFSA free. Liquidity and penalty free are usually less important. Liquidity, penalty free, tax free is something that people really want. Guarantees are something that people really, really want. The reason liquidity and penalty free are less important to people is because they have been conditioned to believe that saving needs to be mandatory, that they should not have access to it, because if they have access to it, they will spend it. So you kind of have to lead people to the idea that they can have it all. They just need to have a plan and work their plan. And when, something happens, you deal with it as you have the plan for the something that happens. So you can deal with it. It's not, now we need to come up with a plan because something happened. No, you have a plan to deal with things that happen. That is the whole point. So, okay. But they can totally have 100% in every single one of these. And some people will say, nope, I have to have 100% in everything. Great. So we're going to go through each one of these individually to see which one of these vehicles is going to work for what you want. Okay, great. So Mr. and Mrs. Client, are qualified funds FAFSA free? Notice what my head is doing. So I'm going to click the button and do this with my head to nod and say, yes, that is what we want. That being said, okay, great. So, and let them answer. We want some class participation here. So, okay, mom and dad, are qualified funds liquid? No. So I'm going to shake my head and click the button and let them answer. So they don't need the answer. It's right in front of them. They're going to be able to read it and tell it back to you. Okay, great. So are qualified funds penalty free? Are they tax free? Are they guaranteed? So, and you don't need to be quite so obvious, just kind of like a little bit of a, I'm kind of being very, very obvious so that you guys get the point. But yeah, okay, great. So that is qualified funds. So now let's take a look at cash value life insurance. Is cash value life insurance tax-free? Is it liquid? Is it penalty free? Is it tax free? Is it guaranteed? And guys, I'm going through this very quickly. Just you guys can get the gist. But go through each one of these boxes individually, wait for a response, and actually go through it so that if they have any questions, make sure you address those. So I'm just going to start ticking things off here so that we can see how it goes. So one of the common questions that I get is a Roth tax-free. Wait a minute, I thought that the whole point of putting money into a Roth IRA was so that I would never be taxed on that money ever again. Okay, great. So assuming that you wait until you are 59 and a half to access that money, no, anything that you pull out of it, whether it is principal or growth, will not be taxed. However, if you need to access that money prior to 59 and a half, there are penalties and it can be taxed. So just to give you guys quivers, or arrows in the quiver rather, to address some of these questions. So stocks and bonds, fairly self-explanatory. College savings accounts and 529s. I personally love this column because this is the vehicle that the federal government is telling people that they should be using to save for college for their children. So let's take a look at how it actually matches up to our stress test. Are college savings funds FAFSA free? No, they are not. Are they liquid? Nope. Are they penalty free? No. Are they tax free? Nope. Are they guaranteed? No. So a 529 will be visible on the FAFSA. You cannot use that money for anything except qualifying educational purposes. So if your kid goes to school 1,000 miles away and you need to get them to school, it is not a qualifying expense to buy them a car, to pay for gas, to buy them plane tickets, to buy them luggage. None of these things are qualifying expenses, but they are expenses that are related to their education because they have to get there. So yeah, penalty free if you are not paying for things that are qualifying purchases. There are penalties, there is tax. You cannot use it whenever you want, and it is actually in the market. So it's not guaranteed to grow. It's not guaranteed to even be there. It could in fact lose money. So all of these are no, doesn't pass anything on our stress test, but this is how the federal government is telling us that we should be saving for our children to go to school. Food for thought. So mutual funds are pretty self-explanatory. Bank accounts are pretty self-explanatory. The other question I get a lot is, wait a minute, I'm getting taxed on my bank account? Yes, you are. So you know that like 0.25% interest that you're making? So really that's about 4 cents a quarter. Yeah, that's taxable. That 4 cents is taxable. So it's negligible, but it is in fact taxable. So real estate, if we're talking about real estate is not FAFSA free. Any equity in the home is visible. It is not liquid because you would need to refinance to be able to use the equity. So you need to get approval from a bank. It is in fact penalty free. It is not tax free because if you were to sell that house, there could be capital gains tax, and it's not guaranteed because like anything else that is market-based, it fluctuates based on what the market will hold. The value will fluctuate. Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Client, so we've now done our stress test. So now we're going to review each one of these individually to see if it is something that we want to discuss further for our bank. So keeping in mind that we're putting in a one-time contribution of $5,000 and we're saving $45,000 annually, are bank accounts something that we want to discuss further? No? Okay, we'll hide that. What about mutual funds? Do we want to discuss those further to talk about for our bank? No? Okay. College savings accounts? No. Stocks and bonds? No. Okay, great. Annuities. Are we going to discuss annuities any further for our our bank. And again, they're going to say no. And okay, yep, that's fine. But remember for that IRA, and in this case, I don't think we had an IRA, but a lot of clients do. So I'm going to give you this tip and trick. So remember that IRA that we said was sitting there that is not guaranteed? We're gonna circle back to annuities to talk about this because they are free from FAFSA and they are guaranteed. They're guaranteed to never lose money, so that it will grow as the market does, but you're never subject to any losses. So we'll circle back to that in a few minutes. But right now we're talking about the bank, so we'll hide that. Okay, so what about Roths? Thinking about our bank, are we going to talk any further about a Roth account? No? Okay, fabulous. So cash value life insurance, are we going to do we want to talk any further about cash value life insurance for our bank? Yes. Okay, great. And our last but not least, qualified funds. Thinking about our bank, are we going to discuss any further about qualified funds? No? Okay, fabulous. So Mr. and Mrs. Client, of all of the financial vehicles that are available, the only one that passed the stress test that you created is cash value life insurance, but it's the only one that you don't seem to have. Why is that? And let them give you an answer. And you'll hear things like, well, we don't know anything about it. Nobody told us. I don't know. You know, why I don't know why I don't have this. You know, what is that? So answer their questions. Nobody told us, you know, why is this a thing? It's like, yep, because in the real world, we have a severe lack of knowledge about basic financial topics. Nobody teaches us, which is why I'm here. My job is to educate you on what is possible, and it is your job to decide what you are going to do. So that being said, cash value life insurance, is that like whole life insurance? Because Dave Ramsey says that whole life is bad. Okay, so cash value life insurance does have a whole life component. So why does Dave Ramsey say that whole life is bad? Well, it's really expensive. Okay, so what Dave Ramsey actually said in his book that was written in 1991 is that whole life is evil. Specifically, he said that whole life is evil. Do you know why he said whole life is evil? What did he say? I don't know. He just said it was expensive. Okay. So Dave Ramsey in his book written in 1991 said that whole life is evil because it only guarantees 6% growth every single year. Let me ask you a question, Mom and Dad. Would you be upset if you were guaranteed to get 6% growth every single year? And let the question hang. Let them answer it. Because I have not said anything. Dave Ramsey said that whole life is evil because you are guaranteed to get 6% growth every year. And in today's economy, nobody is going to say that that's a bad thing if they're guaranteed to get 6% a year. So a little bit of backstory for all of you guys. So Dave Ramsey wrote his book in 1991, at which time a monkey with a dartboard could make money in the stock market. And they actually did that experiment. They had a monkey throw darts at a board that had all sorts of different stocks, and wherever the dart landed is what they invested in, and the monkey made money. So I believe it was a chimpanzee actually. But the point being is that in 1991, it wasn't difficult to make 12%. That what Dave Ramsey also says is that if you're not making 12% in your portfolio, that you should fire your advisor. Does anyone here even think it's possible to make 12% every year in their portfolio? I just want you guys to think about that for a quick second. No? Probably not. Most of us in today's day and age, we hear these things and we know in theory, oh, well, we should be making 12%. Actually, most people think they should be making 8%, but they're not. And they know that they're not. And they don't know why they're not. Because if they look at their APR statement, they should be making 8%. But actually, you know what? I'm going to drag up a whiteboard real quick. Give me a second. My computer's being slow. Open. Bear with me just one quick second. Okay. So I want to illustrate to you guys the difference between, and let me share this. Share screen 2. Okay. Share. I want to illustrate the difference between APR and yields. APR and yield. So we're going to start with $100,000. Okay. And in year 1, we did really, really well. And we got 100% APR. And the APR is annual percentage rate. So we got 100%. So what does that bring our yield to? It doubles our money, right? So we've got $200,000. So year 2, we did really, really badly, and we lost 50%. So we have a negative 50%. So what does that bring us back to? We're back at $100,000. So year 3, we do really, really, really well again, and we doubled our money. We got 100% APR. So what does that equate to? That's $200,000, right?
Yes.
Yep, that's enough zeros. And year 4, we did super, super poorly again. We lost 50%. So
And about 100,000.
we have $100,000 in our account. So what is our APR over 4 years? So we have 200 minus 100 is 100% divided by 4. So we have a 25% APR over that time period. What is our yield? Our yield is exactly what we started with. So our yield is 0. We've made nothing, but our APR is 25%. And this is perfectly legal. Our advisors can tell us that, oh yeah, you're making, 8% is usually the average of what they're telling us that we're making, but we know that we can't possibly be because we know what our balance is and we know what our inputs are and we know all of those things, and it doesn't seem to yield 8%, but the APR is 8%. So that being said, that's why a lot of us feel that we should be making 8%, 12%, whatever, but it's not realistic, especially with the volatility that we're faced with now. So getting back to our chart, because that is a bit of a tangent. So share screen 1. Okay. So getting back to our chart, we're going to talk about this. And when a client tells you they do not know anything about cash value life insurance, you're going to send them this book in PDF form, Money, Wealth, Life Insurance by Jake Thompson. This gives it's a really great read. It's very quick. It's only 61 pages. It gives examples of how illustrations work. It gives an overview of the history of cash value life insurance. It gives examples of how it has actually been used over time. Does anybody know who Walt Disney is? Walt and Roy Disney. Does anybody know who J.C. Penney is? Does anybody know who Ray Kroc is? He actually founded McDonald's. So none of these companies would exist today without cash value life insurance, because all of these people borrowed from their cash value life insurance policies to start their companies. Disney is one of the most successful corporations on the planet, and without cash value life insurance, Disneyland would have never existed in the first place. They would have been a small animation company, and that would have been it. So yes, so that is a great way to introduce a client to cash value life insurance, is to get them to read that. So also something that is another little arrow in your quiver, and I know I've talked about this before, is I'm just gonna
Can
pull
I
up
get
another-
that? Yeah, Kendra,
Give me
can I
1
get that
second.
name again? Hello?
Can't find the
Hello?
tab that I had. So we're talking about building a bank, right? So we know that the banks are really good at making money, and we want to do what they do, right? So we're going to show them what the banks do. So the FDIC is the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and they actually regulate what banks are required to show us. And it does have to be publicly declared. So on the FDIC website, the profit and asset statement, or the assets and liability statement, my apologies, are publicized every quarter. So we're going to take a look at a bank. And for this example, we're going to look at Bank of America. So, and honestly, you can look at any bank that your client suggests. I usually ask them, like, where do you guys bank? So we're going to take a look at what banks do. It's generally the lowest one. So we want the assets and liabilities, and we're just going to double check that, yeah, March 31st is the most recent date. Come the end of September, the June report should be available. So we're going to generate that report. And there's a couple things that we want to take a look at. So a lot of people have told us that real estate is a great place to hold assets, because that's a safe bet, right? So keep in mind, these are dollar figures in thousands. And what that means is that we need to add 3 zeros to the end of all of these numbers to get the total figure. So if we're looking at bank premises and fixed assets and other real estate owned, Bank of America has approximately, so thousands, millions, billions, they have approximately $19.5 billion right here in real estate. Sounds like a lot of money, right? Sounds like a safe bet. So let's scroll down a little bit more. We're going to look at the life insurance assets for this bank. So remember, we're talking about, these are figures in thousands. So thousands, millions, billions, they've got $24 billion in life insurance assets. But we said that real estate is a safe bet. Why do they have more money in life insurance? So, you know, if banks are doing that, why wouldn't we do that? We know that banks are really good at making money. And you don't even have to believe me about, you know, maybe it's just that one bank that I pulled out. So let's take a look at a different bank. Let's talk about Wells Fargo. We're going to pull up Wells Fargo too, just so that it's not an anomaly. There can always be one anomaly, right? So we're going to do the same thing, assets and liability, March 31st, generate report.
You're breaking up.
So if we're looking at bank premises and fixed assets and other real estate owned, yep, thousands, millions, billions. We're looking at $10.5 billion in real estate. So let's go down to life insurance assets. Line 41, thousands, millions, billions, $19.5 billion in life insurance assets. Wells Fargo has almost double the life insurance assets that they have real estate assets. And Wells Fargo is really good at making money. They are a bank. So when we're talking about our bank, guys, this is just another arrow in your quiver. Like, you don't have to go through this with every single client, but if you feel that it's something that might be useful to illustrate the point that this is what banks do, so if we're trying to create a bank, we can do this. Awesome. So that being said, this is a great point that you can either start filling out applications with a client, or maybe they need a little bit more time, which is perfectly acceptable. So something else that you can do for that is go to, sorry, one second, I logged me out because I was on that page too long. Clients, new clients. Looking at this client. Yep. Yep, so this is our stress test. And we're going to go to next. So this is a great little thing that we can send to the client. So we can open it up and review it with them, or we can just send a link to the client and it'll go directly to whatever email address is already in their profile. But I'm just going to open this up real quick. So, you know, prepared for Sabrina client, prepared by whom, and you know, this is everything that we talked about. This was step 2. This is our life circle. You know, how much money do you already have saved? These are all the numbers that we've put in already. And this is step 3. This is, you know, how we've changed things. These are our solve items. You know, the 3 kids going to college. This is our money in a tin can column. This is the proving it section where we're going year by year to show how much we're saving, what we're spending, that we know we're spending. And this is all of the changes that we made and our guaranteed growth. So if we keep scrolling down, this is our stress test. And this chart is really, really fun because this shows us a year by year analysis of everything that we have going on. So you know, it gives us the age of the client, the year they're talking about, anything that we have put in that we know is happening. So we know that we have college going on. These are our annual contributions in a given year. Our annual family withdrawals, these are college things going on that we know we're pulling out money for. Our cumulative withdrawals, how much we have pulled out thus far, and our year-end balance. So we know exactly how much money we're having in a specific year. And this is the projection of how the qualified retirement accounts that we have will grow. If we put in a home refinance, there will be another column in here that says mortgage schedule. So it'll tell us, you know, precisely year by year how much money we have left to pay on that house, which is actually really awesome because when we have our year-end balance, we can just line it up side by side with that mortgage schedule and know, okay, in 2028, actually, if we wanted to, we could pay it off. And at that point, we can decide whether or not we actually want to, which a lot of people want to be able to see that at age 65 or 62 or whatever it was, when they were planning on retiring, that they would in fact have the money to pay off the house and still be able to retire. So that is another fun little tool that we can send to a client. Down the road, we have the ability to do
require monthly income. You have to go to the town.
Hey, guys, this is Ray. Can you guys having a hard time hearing the presentation?
It locked up, Ray.
No, I paused it. I'm just saying that, are you guys, is everybody having a hard time hearing?
It's just a little like she's gargling. That's all.
Okay. All right, yeah, so this is just a recording, so it'll be over here shortly, then I'll kind of recap on everything else here. So just be patient a little bit longer. We're almost there.
Okay.
I don't know what they're making monthly. So we're going to divide by 12 to give us a monthly. So every month they are making $11,666. So we're going to subtract out what they are contributing to their 401ks, 403bs, anything that is pre-tax dollars. So minus 290, because that is right here. So $11,376. So we are going to Google federal tax brackets 2022. What are the federal tax brackets? We'll check on this one. Bankrate.com. That should give us an accurate statement. So we find their tax bracket. So they are married filing jointly, and that they are right smack in the middle of this. They're between $81,000 and $172,000 as a family. So that tells us they are in the 22% tax bracket. So where did my calculator go? We're going to bring that back up. And we are going to multiply this by 0.78. Because that is 100% minus 22, which that they're in the 22% tax bracket. So that's how much they are paying the feds annually. So that money is gone. So monthly, their take home is $8,873. So we know that they are saving $3,000 a month. So that brings us to 5,800. We know that $500 a month was going to their mutual fund, that they are spending $1,000 a month on the car. So what they're actually living on, their budget, is $43.73 per month. That's what they're living on right now. So basically how we do that is we add up their total income, we divide by 12 to get a monthly, we subtract out their qualified pre-tax dollars from that. We then figure out what their tax bracket is and remove their tax from their income. Then we subtract out any additional payments that they are making every single month. So any savings, any debts, if they had a mortgage, all of those fixed payments, we're subtracting that out because this is their lifestyle money. This $4,000 is their lifestyle money. Any of the fixed payments are fixed. They do that every single month. This is lifestyle. They have to stay within this. So that being said, we can now go back over to the spending tab. And I need to be mindful of time. Spending tab. And what is your desired monthly income? So let's even bump this up a little bit. Let's say our desired monthly income is $5,500. You know, inflation, changes in lifestyle, what have you. So we're gonna save that. Pension, we said that Mrs. Client worked for the government in some capacity. So we are going to say that state pension belongs to spouse, and that pension is going to start, just for kicks and giggles, at age 65. So most state pensions are 80%. So let's say that she's making 80%, so times 0.8 is $72,000. So the way I know the way pensions in Massachusetts work is that it's 80% of the average of your best 3 earning years. But we don't know what those are. So we're going to take her current earnings and multiply that times 80%. So unless they have a better number to give you, we'll go with that. $72,000. Don't have enough zeros. And we're going to say that the tax rate is the same, 22% tax. Okay, so we're going to save those changes. And we scroll down here, and starting at age 65, we are at $66,000. And what we actually needed was $56,160. Oh no, excuse me. We're at $56,160 and our desired is $66,000. So yeah, we haven't even really gotten very far into this. We're almost there. So would we like to include Social Security for yourself or your spouse? Yes. So Social Security belongs to, we'll say client, and we'll say that our average income is $60,000 because we know that we used to make more money if we remember last week's training. Starting age, we're going to say that we're going to wait on this until our full retirement age at 67. And it depends on the capacity and what state you're in, whether or not the spouse would have the ability to have Social Security. I know in Massachusetts, they don't, so we're going to ignore that. So save changes. And they'll be able to tell you better, or actually you will probably know for your state whether or not that would be a thing. So if we're looking at right here, so age 67, we've got the Social Security kicking in, and at that point we're at $84,000. So, but we wanted to retire here. Oh, I put in the wrong age. So the pension. Nope, I did put in the right age. Okay, save changes. Yeah, so we wanted to retire back here. So we need to figure out a way that we can bring this up from $56,000 to $66,000. So let's see what we can do. So we've got qualified funds, right? Yes. Belongs to spouse. So we're going to say that the starting age is 65,000, age 65. And let's just for kicks and giggles say that it is 4% and our tax rate is 22. Save changes. So that brings us to $60,000, which isn't great, but it goes on forever. But do we really need to do that? You know, because at this point we've well eclipsed what we actually need. So what if we did this? What if we double this? So we're going to say $12,000. Save changes. We're close. We're getting really close. We've got $65,000 and we need $66,000. So what if we bring this up to $14,000? Save changes. Okay. So we're now over our desired, we're at $67,000 and we needed $66,000. Problem being that it runs out of money over here. So in 2044, there's a year that we're only going to have the $56,000 that our pension is providing because the 401k has run out of money. And it's a year before Social Security kicks in. This is a problem, right? Nope, not a problem. So keep in mind that our qualified money, we're probably going to attempt to roll over into something like an annuity, and $150,000 is only what we have in there right now. That's what we have in there today. So if it grows at all, and we can show that with our custom tab, if we run an illustration, we can put that in as annuity. We can look at the balance, figure out what that's going to be, and put the starting age and show all of that stuff. I just want to be mindful of time. I can go over all of this in greater detail in future. But so just for today, we're going to work with what we have. So our life plan. So let's say that we want our starting age to be 62 and we want to show 4%. Save changes. So have we filled that gap? And this is just for the sake of seeing it. There are so many more things that we could do with this, but we got our client to that after-tax income that they need to retire at, it was either 62 or 65. Oh, client age 53, spouse age 65. So we want our spouse to retire at 65 and our client to retire at 53 because there's a bit of an age gap there, which is fine. But we've got them to that point. So we're at the $67,000. Our desired is $66,000. We've filled in the gaps over here because we can access our life plan, but they have all of these different buckets of money going on. And, you know, there are numerous ways that we can go over this and we can re-tier things. But at this, and this is not a second appointment discussion, this would be maybe the annual review once they're really digging into things and knowing how to use it. You know, but at this point they see this graphic and they're like, awesome, we're gonna have $118,000 in retirement. We only need $66,000. That's great. Okay, is it great? You know, is that money that, like, why aren't you taking a vacation now? Why aren't you spending time with your kids while you can create those memories with them? You know, you always said that you wanted to have a beach house to take your kids and grandkids to. They're still young. Could you do that? You know, could you start working toward that? Could you at least rent somebody else's beach house and take a vacation? You know, start to talk about them, talk to them on the annual reviews about what they wanted, what they said they wanted out of life, and figure out how to actually do that. That's what we do as financial consultants. Financial advisors talk about three things. They talk about your retirement and qualified money. They talk about college planning, and their plan is we'll figure it out when we get there. And if you have a large enough portfolio, they will talk to you about your investment strategy. We talk about everything else. That's what makes us different as financial consultants. We talk about, you know, how are you going to put that addition on the house because now you have 3 kids and only a 3-bedroom house and the kids are getting bigger and, you know, there's fighting that everybody wants their own room. Can you build an extra room on the house? Can you afford it? Can you move? Can you do a lot of things? These are the things that we talk about with our clients. So that being said, if you guys have, I just really want to be mindful of your time. So that being said, if you guys have questions, please feel free to email me. It is krodes, RHODES, @icanfinancial.com. If you have any questions. Otherwise, thank you for coming, and I will see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right. So let me get this going here and stop the share. All right. Okay, guys, I apologize for some of the audio and technical issues that we have had on this thing here, but if you guys on here want to see this recording again, I will be able maybe to email it to you if you want me to email it to you. And so send me an email to rmacdonald, MACDONALD @icanfinancial.com. And you can send me an email and put down on the subject line, please send me video. Please send me video, and I'll be happy to send this to you. For those of you guys who were unable to hear it all, it's all of it in its entirety. So, but guys, real quickly, I just kind of want to just want to kind of piggyback a little bit off what she said. I hope you guys see the value of the software. Hope you understand the value of the software, and really kind of see how it works, right? So just kind of imagine in your mind's eye for a second, sitting down with the client and actually having the software in front of you and in front of the client, and they're at the solve, and they're at the part where they're like checking the boxes. Does your ROE does this? Does your Roth does this? Does your retirement does this? This whole life does this, and it has all the check. That's a very powerful moment right there, where you're sitting with a client and they're able to see that, and they're basically telling you. And this is where I always tell people that they're basically building their own plan, and without even knowing that they're building their own plan, because they're sitting there able to do all this stuff. So that's extreme power right there. And that's why it's so important to have the software and to utilize the software, but use the software as a tool for yourself. What I always say, the software does a couple things, right? Number one, the software gives, sorry guys, I'm wearing my baseball cap here, my crazy baseball head. But anyway, so the software does a couple of things, right? What it does, number one, it gives the agent, it gives you confidence. How does it give you confidence? It gives you confidence by number one, having access to the software, where you have the drop down features and you have these things in front of you, right? So now you have a tool you're working with. So number one, so what it does, it gives you the confidence in actually having a tool to work with. Also, what gives you confidence, it has the drop down boxes and tells you what to say in each section of it, what you're going to tell the client, what you need to say to the client. So by doing that, and through time, the more you do it, the more confidence that you're going to build on yourself. The second thing that it does, it gives you credibility, right? It gives you credibility. It gives you credibility in the sense that now you actually have this technology, that you actually have software, that you're able to you're not sitting with a client drawing stuff out on a notepad. You're not drawing stuff out on a whiteboard. That you actually have some technology and you have a software system that's able to print out the illustration and the form. So what you saw there, she had it print out there for a second. You can print that out and give it to your client. That's professionalism, right? So that gives you credibility that you're no small town, small Joe Blow trying to do whatever. That you actually have a printout of highly quality printed out illustrations and how it's going to look like and everything that you went over with them, the plan that they built. Remember the psychology of it, the plan that they built. Okay. And the third thing it just does, so two things. The first thing is it gives you confidence. Second thing, it gives you credibility. The third thing is it gives the client, this is part of the most important part, it gives the client credibility. It gives the client credibility because what it does, or not credibility, it gives the client confidence. It gives the client confidence in you and the product and everything that they see, because they literally They literally just built the plan themselves. When they sat down next to you, side by side, or they did a screen share and they saw your software and they're going, well, was your Roth do this? Does your RRA do this? Does it do this? And all these things, right? And they're saying, no, but the whole life do this. Again, they're building a plan. So with knowing that, right? Knowing that, and I always kind of use this as an illustration also. If you're building if you're going to buy a house, do you want to buy a house that's already built? Or do you want to buy a house that you built? That you designed the bathrooms the way you want them, you designed the closet the way you want them, you designed the kitchen the way you want them. That's the big difference of what we're doing here. So by the client seeing this and actually participating in the process with you, they are actually participating in the sales process with you. They are selling themselves, and and it's giving them the confidence within themselves that, you know what, this is a good deal. You know what, this is right. You know what, that made sense to me. You know what, I saw with my own 2 eyes what these things are not doing for me that I thought they were doing, but I realize now they're not doing. I understand what the whole life system is doing. I understand how the banking system works. I understand all this now. So now the client has confidence. Okay, once the client has confidence, this is the done deal. So 3 things: it gives you, the agent, confidence. Number 2, it gives you credibility because now you have some technology and software to get working with it. Number 3, it gives the client confidence. And that's what you want, to have them to be confident in what they're doing and working with you and seeing what they're doing. But all this is because of the software. This is why it's so critical and so important. So if you don't have the software, make sure you go to lifeplan360.com, lifeplan360.com, and on the right-hand side, on top of the site, you can click to get the software. So I encourage you to get the software. And the best way to kind of play with it, the best way to learn the software is to use it yourself. Make your own plan yourself, create your own plan, build your own plan out. It doesn't have to be something crazy and massive, but you can build your own plan again. And that's how you start building more confidence and more credibility with yourself, is that the fact that you're able to build your own plan and do all this stuff. So that's my 2 cents. I just wanted to encourage you guys to take advantage of the software, take advantage of the training, take advantage of everything we have here with LifePlan 360, with ICANN Financial. Stay plugged in. Make sure that you go to our Facebook page. We have a lot of recordings on there as well. You go to ICANN Financial on Facebook, look for ICANN Financial. Make sure that you like the page. We have a lot of great content up there too. Make sure you like it. You can watch the videos. And also, like, for example, the call we did yesterday with Foresters. We did a great call with Foresters. That's recorded on the ICANN Financial Facebook page. And that's good. The Foresters is good because it goes hand in hand with the software that we have. There's one of the carriers that we work with along with the software. So go back and hit the ICANN Facebook page and watch that recording of the Foresters presentation. But with that being said, guys, stay plugged in. Best thing to do, guys, best training you're ever going to have, the best training you're ever going to have is you actually going out there and writing a policy. There's no better training. You want a doctor working on you that read how to do the surgery out of a book, or you want a doctor that performed surgery multiple times. Obviously, you want the one that performed multiple times. That's why you need to be that doctor and perform the surgery multiple times by going out there and actually writing a policy, writing policies. That's the best training you're going to get. That's hands down the best training you're going to get. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you very much. And we'll see you guys on the next talk. Thanks. Bye. You're welcome, Timothy.